Now there's no singing on TV to the cat.
All right.
My room is really hot. For some reason. I really like sleeping in a cold room that's not cold.
Okay.
I like sleeping with blankets, but I can't. It's really frustrating. I woke up like several times because it was so hot. I need to talk to Dean. What? I love this.
Hello, everyone. We're working on technical difficulties at the cafeteria. I'll be back with you in just a minute, so just be patient. Thank you.
Good thing to.
All right, everyone. We are now live just a few minutes later, but we got our technical difficulties worked out and we are excited to be here. We're going to go lightning fast through these announcements. So before that, we get to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You'll hear last one.
So we look at.
It's not going to appear, guys. Let's just start.
Oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now come.
All right, so just so you know, the reason why that wasn't there, that has nothing to do with Matthew Pakula. I deleted my downloads folder over the break because it was humongous, and that's where the file was, and so we didn't realize that till just now. So we'll get the flag back for next time. We're going to sing the school song.
You just scoot over.
Yeah, everyone like.
All right, are you guys ready? All right.
In the southern mountains, where the French broad flows, in the hills of North Carolina,
They can't see.
where the laurel grows, there's a school where lads and lassies come from far and near. There's a school of closest friendships that we all hold dear. School of the mountains, school of standards, ideals of courage, faith and loyalty. School of the mountains, school of standards high. Fletcher Academy, who's school? Fletcher our school.
All right.
Boss now.
Shut up.
Whoa.
Okay, so our first slide, we need volunteers. Sunday morning at 8:30 to 10:30, from 8:30 to 10:30. We're going to take you to Fletcher Park. They're having, the hospital has sponsored this run where they're doing basically a marathon broken up into 7 days. Some students are participating in it, but we need a little bit of help clean up. You can contact Mrs. Rom if you're interested. If you don't know how to get a hold of her, get in touch with Mr. Rom, and they're going to meet at the flagpole on Sunday morning. All right, so 8:30 to 10:30 is how long we need you for. There are bagels and fruit and other snacks there, so if you miss breakfast, you will have things to eat there. All right, next. SA Banquet.
Woo.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that banquet is on Sunday. We're super excited for you guys to come. The buses are loading at 4 p.m. behind the Borders dorm. So make sure to be there. We are so excited.
We're so excited.
Behind the boys' dorm. I thought it was just over there, the student parking lot. Oh, okay. So, guys, do you remember when I announced last week about birthdays and how exciting and everyone should have a special day? Well, actually, this month is March, so I need all my people back for singing Happy Birthday. So, if you see anybody in this list that is
What?
on here,
You're in this list.
yes, Mark.
Oh, nice.
Then I need you to make them stand. I know that today is Sig's and Anna Schneider's birthday, so today specifically. If I miss anyone, I'm sorry. But just sing to all the people who have had birthdays in March, starting now. Ready?
Happy birthday to you.
Woo!
Happy birthday to you.
Woo!
Happy birthday, dear Mom.
Everyone that's involved.
Happy
we have Student of the Month this month, and I'm going to read these to you. So, by the way, I still have these Student of the Month. I was gone to chapel. I think this happened. Caleb Pittman, you need to come by and get your Student of the Month for December, and Alicia Garber. Okay. But the Student of the Month for this month, the female, has this said about her: very strong sense of right and wrong, sweet and kind to all. Her smile and cheerful disposition brightens the whole room. She's a positive leader and not afraid to stand up for what she believes in. Such a sweet heart and loving towards all. She's kind-hearted, always has a smile on her face. She chooses to be a positive role model daily and leads through the decisions she makes. Her Christ-like personality is very appreciated on our campus. Is a great example for others to follow. I'm proud of her influence on our campus. That is what the staff had to say about her. And our Student of the Month for the females goes to Brooke Witt. Congratulations, Brooke. Make sure you come by to get your certificate. And now we will go on to the male Student of the Month. And here's what the faculty say about him. Shows strong leadership skills, wants to do great work, a natural leader and willing to help others. His actions reflect his beliefs and values. A strong leader with a good head on his shoulders. Someone who makes others feel included and works hard to make wise decisions. Always has a smile to give. Doing great over the last 2 years. Looking forward to seeing how much he grows in the future. And this person, the Student of the Month for the guys, is Peyton Meadows. Congratulations to Brooke and Peyton. And now we go on to campus ministry slides. We'll go through these quickly. This week, SALT is going to be here. They're going to do our Vespers program in the church, 7:30, Vespers attire. On Sabbath, breakfast and church are normal. Sabbath school is in the LPC as it has been. The afternoon activity will be determined. They have an outreach activity as if the weather permits. If it doesn't, they'll figure something else out. And that is the end of our announcements. And now we have our speaker for today, which is our very own Mr. Derby.
All right. It's wonderful to be with all of you today. I know that you're looking at the clock, so I'm going to try and I don't want to miss my message, but I'll do this as quickly as I can. So before we get started, let's please bow our heads for prayer. Father in heaven, I just want to thank you so much for each and every one of our kids, for how you've guided them to this place. And Lord, you've given us as staff and given their parents the joy of their presence. And we just ask you now to be with us as we go through this time together and help us to look into our own lives, into our own souls, to see what we can do to serve you better. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so the title of my talk today, and I've shared this concept with some of you, but I thought it was worth sharing again, and that is that God is the expert of Plan B. So the concept is that the reason why he's the expert of Plan B is because normally, and I shouldn't say normally, but a lot of times what we will do is we will have our own idea and we want to do things our own way. And then when that fails, we finally give up and we let God. And so that way he has to be Plan B. What would be beautiful, what would be ideal, is if we got to the place where we would involve him right away in every process, and then he becomes the expert of Plan A. So that should be our goal. But human nature many times kicks in and we want to do things all by ourselves. So I just wanted to share just a little bit. It's been a while since I've done this. I think it was 5 years ago, so most of you weren't here. Well, none of you were here. Anyway, so just a little bit about myself. I'm the product of the public school system. And I was a Seventh-day Adventist, but when I was in the public high school that I was in, I was the only one. And so it was difficult. I had a lot of friends. I actually was, I came from a very poor family. I I was, just so that you know, when I was in high school is when they first started the school lunch program for poor people, and so I actually got a chance to take advantage of that. I actually ate twice in 20 minutes because that was many times the only food that I was getting all day. Ironically, that ended up kind of springboarding my eating disorder of eating too much and too fast. So it's something that I will battle forever. But through that public school process, I had a lot of friends, just not close friends. No one that I spent the extra time with. So I guess you could say I was friendly with people, even to the place where, I was one of the homecoming king candidates. And I thought somehow it was like some strange thing. I thought, okay, so if I win that, somehow it'll like change my life. And I didn't realize I couldn't win it because I couldn't even be there on Friday night for the homecoming football game. So, but that was kind of what I was leaning on. But truly, I didn't have many friends that were close friends. And so I was trying to find a way to connect and to have those types of friendships. Well, ironically, we had a boarding academy, one of our Seventh-day Adventist academies in my hometown. But at that point, back in the 70s, they didn't have like a financial aid program. They didn't have the ability to assist people to being there if you couldn't afford it. So I couldn't go there. But they did let me sing in the choir, and they let me play in the intramurals. And so that, I believe, was the connection that helped me stay in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Because if it would have only been the public school experience, I'm certain that I would have drifted away just because it was so lonely. One of the things that I tried to do to escape my poverty situation is I was a pretty good athlete, and I wanted to play baseball, and I was hoping to become a professional baseball player. And while I did come close, I didn't make it. And at the time when that happened, I actually was very depressed and very disappointed. But my grandmother, of all people, at the age of 80, wrote me a letter. Back then we still wrote letters, and in fact there was no cell phone or text or email or anything like that. So she wrote me a letter, and she offered at the age of 80 to go back to work to help me go to Southern, at that time it was Missionary College. And I really didn't want to go because I knew that it was going to be the end of my baseball career because they didn't have sports there. And when I went there, I tried to find the different negatives and the different reasons why it wouldn't be good. And I kept throwing different things out at the student that was guiding me around that day. And finally he stopped me and he said, listen, he said, wherever you go, you're going to find whatever you're looking for. But if you're looking for God, he's in this place. And I knew at that point that I was going to Southern Missionary College. And little did I know that it was going to change my life, that it was going to put me on a path that instead of becoming a businessman and a professional baseball player, that it was going to point me towards a career in education. But it sure did. And I've got to tell you that what that did in my childhood and then finally finding Southern Missionary College put me on a path and really launched the burden in my heart that other people could have the same opportunity that I had, even if they struggled or they didn't know anything about it or they didn't think that they qualified, that God found a way for me to be at Southern Missionary College. And so I wanted God to use me to try and help them get to whatever school I was at. And so that's been a big burden for me in my life. And so wherever I've gone, I've reached out and I've tried to do what I could to introduce people to Jesus, one, but also to whatever school that I was at, because the focal point of our school system is Jesus. Now, some of you might look and say, well, yeah, but not everybody comes, and that that really is following Jesus, but they have an opportunity to. And that's one of the points that I want to reach out to you and say, are you taking advantage of that opportunity? Are you more interested in trying to figure out what's cool and then chasing that? Or are you looking for that opportunity to become more like Christ? Because I will tell you this, that there's a thing about, if you're looking for cool, then you're chasing the world. But if you're looking for Christ, what you're going to find is that peace that passes all understanding. Last year when I called all of the students during the fourth quarter, one of the things that I prayed with every one of them for was that peace that passes all understanding. That peace that only God can give you. And that's my hope and that's my prayer for each and every one of you. Now, one of the things that we've started here this year is, and Mr. Carey initiated this, but we're our administration, our teaching staff, many parents of our students here on campus are all in on this process, and I wanted to engage you in this as well, because this can become your ministry as well, is the Project 200 Souls. So I don't know how many of you know this, but really the max number of students that we can have in our school and still stay manageable, still stay in a situation where our teachers have the time to spend with each one of our kids if needed, is 200. And so our hope and our prayer is, and we're putting this in God's hands, but obviously He needs us to do the work, is that we are striving for 200 students at Fletcher Academy. Now, before you think that what that means is more money or bragging rights or whatever, what it really comes down to is it's our mission to try and give kids an opportunity to have the environment that we have here. You know, we had some kids on our campus yesterday. Andrew and Eve were on our campus and they were checking it out. And one of the things I've got to tell you, whenever I do a tour on our campus, I never try and orchestrate any meetings with them and other kids or teachers even, normally with administration, because their schedule is busy and everybody likes a chance to meet with the registrar, meet with the principal, meet the finance department. But even with Mr. Carey, most of the time, he's busy, he's in and out, but it's amazing to see how many times God leads in that process. And Mr. Carey happened up yesterday, and he saw me sitting there, and I explained to him that, well, they were on a tour of the dorm, and I was just waiting for them to come out. Well, before they went into the dorm, it was really a blessing to see around a dozen kids just come up, stop, have a conversation with them. And that's what Andrew and Eve really needed, was to see what the kids were like. I never worry about that with you guys. Now, there were a few years ago, we actually had one situation, before I just make it sound like it's always that way. There were a few years ago where we had a kid that there was this thing that was going on here at the school called necking. And it was, people would run up behind someone and smack them on the back of the neck. And we actually had somebody that did that in the middle of one of my tours, and it actually scared the whole family, because this kid runs up behind another kid, and they were very close in proximity, and he did that. We lost that student. Not only did we lose that student, but that student lost an opportunity to experience Jesus in our environment. And so I must say, though, I don't worry about that with you guys. I'm so proud of the way that you connect. And if you're one of those dozen or so kids that had an opportunity to talk with Andrew and Eve, I'd just like you to raise your hands. I can't see them, but I would like the people in your rooms to be able to see. And just to show you how God leads, Andrew actually went to school with Corey Bachlan. And Corey just happened up. He just walked up, and they had a great conversation, and Corey was a tremendous testimony. And of course, seeing a familiar face meant a lot to both Andrew and Eve in that situation. So God was leading through that process. He's leading in your daily life as well. And I want you to think about, as you go through your day, how God can use you today. Do you see somebody struggling? Now, sometimes it's hard to tell if they're struggling under a mask, but is God telling you to go up and to speak to someone that you normally don't speak to? Because you just don't know what type of a day they're having. When I think of testimonies that kids give to the teachers, because sometimes the teachers don't know what type of an impact they're having. And they say, you know, if it weren't for you my senior year, I don't know if I would have made it. If it weren't for you when I was going through this difficult time, well, then to talk with the teacher, they didn't even know the kid was going through a difficult time. They just reached out, and it was God leading through that process. So that's happening, and that's an opportunity that you have every day to impact one of your classmates. And then when someone's on a tour or when you're able to go home, you have an opportunity to make that impact as well. So we have, in this whole concept of Project 2,000 Souls, I have a little bit of a mindset that I like to hold on to, and that's each one reach one. And so imagine if each one of you told one person about Fletcher Academy. Now, not necessarily all of them would come, but imagine if each one of you would just tell one person that didn't know about Fletcher Academy, that didn't know it existed. Because, you know, Fletcher Academy, because we're an independent school, because we're self-supporting, it doesn't show up on every list that's out there. But you have an opportunity to share with a friend back home. Maybe it's a family member that lives states away from you that might need a place like Fletcher Academy to grow and to feel that peace that passes all understanding. Have you thought about sharing Fletcher Academy with them? Not so that we can have more students, but so that they can have an opportunity that you get to have every day. Have you thought about how God can use you to connect them with Fletcher Academy? Now, I know that some people are a little afraid of being rejected. I think that I was reading someplace that it's not just teenagers, but it's most people. One of their biggest fears is the fear of rejection. But I want to read a Bible text to you, and most of you know this story, but I want to read it to you. It's Luke 17:11 through 19. So it says, "Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into the village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance, like they were supposed to do, and called out in a loud voice, 'Jesus, Master, have pity on us.' When he saw them, he said, 'Go show yourself to the priests.' And as they went, they were cleansed." So they were already cleansed before they went to the priest. They didn't have to go to the priest to be cleansed. They had already been cleansed. And that was the custom where the priest needed to witness it before they could actually then go amongst the public again. One of them, one out of the 10, when he saw he was healed, came back and praised God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him, and he was a Samaritan, so he wasn't even a Jew. Jesus asked, were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner? Then he said to him, 'Rise and go, your faith has made you well.'" Jesus was essentially, he cured all 10 of them. He was rejected by 9. but he was praising the one that came back and actually thanked him. So sometimes we're going to face rejection, but what we have to do is, if we can get the mindset that when we share Jesus with someone, when we share the idea that people can have a better life as far as a better high school experience by, when they come to Fletcher Academy and they reject it, they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting Jesus. Jesus didn't give up because 9 of the 10 that he cleansed, rejected him. Thought more about, hey, I can get back to my regular life. But he celebrated the one. We need you to help us not just reach that goal of 200 souls, but we need you to help Jesus help the kids that need to know about Fletcher Academy, that need the opportunity that you have right now, so that they can experience a peace that passes all understanding. What I want to leave you with is this idea. If you're afraid of being rejected, as far as telling somebody about Fletcher Academy or telling somebody about Jesus and being rejected, maybe not all of those people are going to accept you, but this is what I will tell you: 100% of the people that you don't tell about Fletcher Academy won't know anything about it. 100% of the people that you don't tell about Jesus will lose out on an opportunity to know about him. Can you muster the courage to reach out and tell someone about Jesus, to tell someone about Fletcher Academy that may need that opportunity? It's what drives me, because I know the lack of it. I went through a public school system and felt lonely because I was the only Adventist in that system. As I look back on it now, because some of you might be thinking about public school, as I look back on it now, it would have been worse if I would have felt comfortable there, because that would have meant that I was turning my back on God. So I want to encourage you to think about who you can reach out to. If you would like me to help you do that, you can give me their name, their contact information, and I will reach out to them as well. But I'm here to tell you, our visit yesterday with Andrew and Eve meant so much more, because the dozen or so kids came up and talked to those kids. It wasn't some old guy telling them about how great you were. It was you extending yourself to them to show them that you cared about them. That's what people really want. People want to find some place where somebody cares about them, where someone wants to make a difference in their life. Do you want to be a part of that process? I encourage every one of you, imagine if each one could reach one. And if we actually had 200 souls here, it wouldn't be, like I said before, it wouldn't be to brag about, ooh, look how many kids we have here. How many kids have an opportunity to connect with Jesus, whether it be through our mission program, whether it be our campus ministries, one of our music programs, one of our acro, through intramurals, through dorm worships. Maybe it's their dorm roommate. There's so many different ways, and our school is designed for each one of us to be able to connect with God and connect with each other. So please, take some time, think about the person that you know that needs Fletcher Academy. Talk to them. Share their name with me so that we can work together, not just to get more kids here, but to give more kids an opportunity to know Jesus. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Our Father in heaven, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to help you. Help us to listen to your still small voice. Guide us in the direction that you need us to go. And then give us the courage to be willing to be rejected But Lord, give us those opportunities to plant the seeds for you so that kids can come closer to you, their parents can come closer to you, and we all have an opportunity to help you bring these kids closer to you. In Jesus' name, amen.